Lewis Paget. Now I'll put the link up so you can get to it. Grave That I Dug for You by David Lewis Paget. The Grave That I Dug for You, a poem by David Lewis Paget. It was 3 o'clock in the morning on the final day of spring. I was stuck in a hole in the graveyard of St. Matthew's, Netherland. I like to dig them at nightfall when the folk are home in bed, not wandering round the churchyard, making a racket, waking the dead. It's creepy enough as it is whenever the moon sails over the church and shines its beams on the headstones of Jack Dervish or Bill Birch, of mad old widow Maloney, who, the stories do abound, was carried kicking and screaming in her coffin and put in the ground. My job is a labor of love. I've lived in this village all my life. I know each one who lives here, every mistress, husband, and wife. Whenever I dig a grave, I know exactly who it is for, and shed the bitter parting tear for the ones who go before. I've even dug for my own, my darling mother and my dad. They left on the last long journey when I was but still a lad. The vicar made me the sexton so that I can earn my keep. Living alone in the cottage, ghosts would haunt me in my sleep. I often manage an extra grave that I dig by the iron fen, all overhung with the creepers that I buy for Peter's pence. They're there for the poor and needy who can't manage a burial fee, so I carry the bodies at midnight, drop them in, all buried for free. I'll always attend the services and stand right up at the back. When I first saw Caroline, my love, my Caroline Black, she went to her brother's funeral with veil and covered in lace. But the wind blew up as she left, and then I saw sweet Caroline's face. I fell, I saw, and was smitten. She had given me half a smile. I felt so bold as to ask if I could walk with her for a while. We went some way. She held my hand, and she looked me square in the eye. What would you say if I told you that my mother's about to die? It seemed that her mother had cancer, so she told me with a tear. They told her mother 3 months ago she wouldn't live out the year. She lived way up on the hillside there, in a mansion called Beauclair. I thought that she must have money, but she said the cupboard is bare. The money they paid for the funeral of her brother had been the last. Her father had gone some years ago and had left them little cash. How will I bury my mother? Caroline cried, as women will do. Now don't you fret, I assured her. I have a grave I've dug for you. The mother died the following week. The doctor had thought it strange. He'd given the mother a bill of health to last to a ripe old age. The coroner was quite upset when he found how the woman died. It seemed autopsy's findings showed her full of insecticide. The brother was raised at once. I dug him up in the night, surrounded by sheriff's officers who carried a lantern light. They found the same insecticide had seeped right into his bones, and Caroline went on trial that day in spite of her sobs and moans. I saw her once right after the trial, when the judge put on his hat that little black square of portent that had sentenced Caroline Black. It said, "You shall be hanged by the neck. Pray God for your soul to save. Your crimes are the crimes of parricide." They will follow you into the grave. They let me into the holding cell as she waited to be sent down. So pale and brave, the deed was done. Though she kept her eyes on the ground, if only I had begun to say, but she stayed me. What can you do? I can keep you warm and comfortable in the grave that I dug for you.